Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to tackle a task that, let's be honest, usually involves way too much coffee, staring blankly at a blinking cursor, and just kind of crossing your fingers. Yep, we're talking about writing proposals. But we aren't just talking about throwing a document together and hoping for the best here. We're going to look at a highly distilled, absolutely incredible three-pillar framework derived straight from our source material to help you master the art of the pitch. So, if you've ever felt like your proposal process is just this daunting, chaotic gamble, well, this is exactly what you need to regain control and build a completely unstoppable engine.
Here's a quick look at our agenda for the Explainer. First, we have the formula. Then, teach proposal writing. Number 3 is analyze successful proposals. 4, create scalable templates. And finally, number 5, the mastery system. This structured roadmap is going to completely transform how you look at pitching.
All right. Section 1, the winning proposal formula, building a deliberate system for success.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the core premise we need to understand right out of the gate. Winning proposals are literally never accidental, right? They aren't the result of some sudden burst of inspiration at 2 in the morning. Real, consistent success requires stepping completely away from the chaos and adopting a deliberate masterclass progression. The source material we're looking at strips away all the unnecessary fluff and breaks down the complex strategy of winning new business into this highly concise 3-step manifesto. Step 1, teach proposal writing. Step 2, analyze successful proposals. Step 3, create templates. It is beautifully simple, but as you'll see, there's immense depth hidden within these 3 directives.
Let's really lock this in. Winning proposals require a strategic system. Teach, analyze, template. I want you to remember these 3 anchor words: teach, analyze, template. They represent a progressive journey of skill acquisition. Think about it. You can't template what you haven't analyzed, and you definitely can't properly analyze if you haven't first been taught the fundamentals. They build upon one another perfectly.
So, looking at that entire progression, it begs a pretty huge question, doesn't it? Where does proposal mastery actually begin? When you finally sit down to overhaul your win rate, where is the absolute very first place you should focus your energy?
Section 2, teach proposal writing, establishing the foundational skill.
This is our first pillar, and you have to treat it as the absolute necessary ground floor for you and your team. You literally cannot skip this step. Teach proposal writing is a direct, imperative quote from our source material. Notice how it doesn't say, guess at proposal writing, or hope you're just naturally good at proposal writing. No, it says to teach it. Before you can consistently win, you've got to establish a baseline of deliberate education. It means teaching your team exactly how to articulate a unique value proposition rather than just kind of assuming they already know how.
You know, teaching isn't just handing someone a manual to read in a vacuum. It's about establishing baseline skills so that there are absolutely no weak links. It's about building a common language within your team. For example, when you say executive summary, everyone needs to know that means a punchy 1-page synthesis of the client's problem and your solution, not a 10-page rambling history of your agency. You have to focus heavily on the structure, the tone, and the clarity of your writing. Educating your team systematically ensures everyone starts out equipped with the exact same tools.
Okay, so once you have that foundation of education built, the next logical question pops up. What actually separates a winning pitch from the rest? You've got the basics down, you know how to write clearly, but how do you transition from that theoretical education to actual real-world application that closes deals?
Let's move to Section 3 and see how this builds. Analyze successful proposals. Dissecting what works.
This second pillar is entirely about looking backward so that you can effectively move forward. Analyze successful proposals. This is where you apply deep, critical thinking to your past wins to separate sheer luck from true, replicable strategy. Because think about it. If you won a big contract just because the client happened to love your font choice, well, that's luck. But if you won because you perfectly mirrored their pain points in the executive summary, that is strategy. You have to put your victories under a microscope to find out which is which.
It's kind of like a giant puzzle. First, you review your past wins to identify what real-world success actually looks like for your specific business. Next, you actively dissect the pitch. You literally pull it apart paragraph by paragraph to separate those lucky breaks from the intentional strategic choices you made. And finally, you find the patterns. When you figure out the specific themes and structures in the proposals that actually worked, you can use those exact patterns to inform every single future proposal you write.
Which brings us to a really critical junction. We've taught the basics, we've analyzed the past victories to find out exactly what elements actually work, but how do we turn those isolated past wins into scalable, repeatable success? How do we make sure we aren't just reinventing the wheel every single Monday morning?
That brings us to Section 4, Create Scalable Templates, the ultimate culmination of the process. And I love this part because this is where all the hard work finally pays off. Look at this stark contrast here. When you start from scratch, it's highly inefficient. The quality varies wildly based on, how much sleep you got the night before, and it is incredibly time-consuming. It's just pure chaos. But using a template, that represents the calm, calculated execution of a proven system. It's efficient, it guarantees a consistent standard of quality, and most importantly, it's completely scalable. Create templates is the final instruction from our source text, and it's the ultimate solution for freelancers and agencies looking to win new business without completely burning themselves out in the process. When you build a template based on the analysis of your past wins, you are essentially bottling your own best performances, whether that's a modular content library, pre-approved pricing tables, or just a plug-and-play slide deck, so you can confidently reuse them on demand.
So the crucial point is coming up in Section 5, the Proposal Mastery System, tying the pillars together.
See, these aren't just 3 random pieces of advice. They form a deeply cohesive, unstoppable engine when put together. Let's recap this progressive masterclass arc one last time. Step 1, teach. You establish the baseline and the common language. Step 2, analyze. You look at what actually worked in the real world to separate the luck from the strategy. Step 3, template. You take those proven, analyzed elements and build a scalable framework. This simple trio is the exact path that takes a team from novice guessers to expert closers.
If you take absolutely nothing else away from this explainer today, let it be this synthesized thought from our source material. Winning proposals aren't born from scratch. They are taught, analyzed, and templated. That is the absolute ultimate takeaway here. You have to build the machine before the machine can build your business. I want to leave you with this provocative thought as we wrap up. Take a hard look at your own process right now. Will your next proposal be just a hopeful shot in the dark while you stare at a blank page, or will it be the deliberate, inevitable result of a proven system? The framework is right in front of you, now it's just time to put it to work.